All right, so we are Bones, Twigs,
No,
and Wigs, and welcome to our guest. How you doing, Duke? All the way in
I'm
Las Vegas.
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. I put the heating on by mistake, so my house is like an oven. I completely didn't realize until it was too late, so I'm just waiting for it to cool down. It's pretty hot over in England at the minute.
Got to cool it down.
It's 100 degrees Fahrenheit here in my backyard. I don't know what it is Celsius. I'm not that smart. I'm busy.
Man, popular.
I mean, I've got to ask.
Everybody wants an interview. It's a time sensitive matter.
Goddamn.
You are quite the hot. You are the hot topic of the week this week, actually, Duke. You know, we have so many questions for you.
Well, I
You've
can't wait to
lived.
answer them. I have survived.
You
I have
survived.
survived.
One,
Survived.
one.
It was a lot.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
tell you what, Johnny, go for it. You go for the first question. Let's.
I'm gonna go backwards because I hit up Duke maybe like I want to say it's probably like a month. It's been like a month or something like that, maybe less. But just randomly, I was like, let me see how Duke's doing because like I think I was on Instagram. I saw he was still somewhere in the ocean. And I was like, man, like he's still out there. All right, cool. So I hit him up, just checking in and everything. He seemed to be fine. I was like, okay, cool. And just recently we see an Instagram post of him, on like a private jet, with like his blankie, you know what I'm saying? He's like just on there just chilling.
Amazing.
Right. I'm like, what's going on? So I'm like, all right, well, clearly, like, he's going home, so that's great. So that's my question, man. Like, how did you get the private jet, bro? Like, how did that come about? Let's see, it froze again. All of that leading up. He probably didn't hear a word.
I didn't hear a word you said.
I know.
Hold on.
There you
I
go.
got them.
There
Wait,
you go.
It's coming. Hang on. Don't record this. This is edited out. I promise you. Hang on.
Oh my God. This
Well,
is
we'll be
hilarious.
the judge of that.
Yeah,
No,
bro.
edit it out. I can't handle it.
Bro, I'm loving all these outtakes, man. Like I'm making an outtake folder, by the way.
You
Like
are
for the
not
drama.
making an
yes.
outtake folder.
We are.
Don't worry, they get released. It's
Okay,
fine.
so can you see me? Am I too dark?
You're too dark now, but that's okay. As long as we can
Am I
hear you,
too dark?
that's the main thing.
Like, am I too dark? Like I tan too much?
No. Mm-mm. No, you're good. You're good.
You and Johnny are a similar complexion now.
So I'm not going to repeat myself. All I'm going to say is, how did you get that private jet on the way home?
Okay, so apparently, legally, we're not allowed to fly internationally into America as crew members of the United States.
Wow.
So Royal Caribbean had to charter a private jet for us to fly into America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
That's crazy. And
Yeah.
like,
Sounds horrible.
how many people were on the jet at the same time? Like, was it like your whole, like all of the Americans in your cast or all of the Americans on the ship? How did that work?
so there was 2 private jets split up between 14 Americans that were in the cast.
Wow.
So when we left and we got disembarked in Manila, there was, I don't know, 30 to 40 people that left the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Australians, like just a bunch of, not Australians, a lot of people. I don't know what nationality, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time it dwindled down and we got in Barbados, the flight from Barbados had to be chartered into America, and there was 14 Americans. So it was split between 2 private jets. So we had 7 on one, 7 on the other.
Wow. I know that was lit, man. And like, did you guys have like all of like the bells and whistles? Like, oh, can I have a glass of Chardonnay or all that bull crap?
It was, let me tell you, walking onto a private jet with the plush, like leather, cream colored leather with the hardwood just throughout the whole jet. And the, you have the crystal glasses lined up and everything you want. I mean, someone asked for an avocado and it was in front of her. It was
Wow.
absolutely, I'm not joking. It was insane.
How much
The treatment was
you like
amazing.
hardwood? So,
I mean,
Wait,
wow.
what was that, Steve? What was that?
nothing at all, man. Nothing at all.
What was that?
Cheers to hardwood.
There we go. Do you know what, Duke? I've got to do it. I've had a hangover all day. I'm going to have a beer. Maybe that's going to fix.
Got to, man.
Go get a beer. I don't know what is in this. Someone made it for me, but it's my 7th one. So
Wait, you have people waiting on you there?
yeah.
He's balling, man.
Life is insane.
Man,
In fact, on
Sir
that,
Duke over here.
Sir Duke. As I grab a beer, do you want to give a bit of backstory to who you are and what you do? I just realized that, people don't know who you are. I mean, we're trying not to mention the name of the specific employer, but if you do, that's okay, because I can bleep it out. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, what do you do?
I am a professional singer. At least I like to think so until they auto-tune me. No, I sing for a living, and I work on a cruise ship or many cruise ships for one company, however they want to hire me, and put me into production shows with the cast. And that's what I've been doing since January 2017. So
dope. What have you been doing since about January 2020, Duke? Tell us about that.
This is nuts. When did your contract start? This last contract, that everything, the zombie.
That's actually a really good question. To be honest, I don't know. It blurs together. I think it started in November, October. I don't remember, to be honest.
Jesus
I don't know when I started.
Like rehearsals start November. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I know I was on the ship for Christmas, so it had to be September. Maybe I got on the ship September, October, November, somewhere around there. And then, we did production shows for a couple months, and then all of a sudden, this pandemic hit.
So you actually got a couple of good months in before all this shit.
Yeah, we actually, funny enough, by the time this was over and I got home, we had more time not doing shows on the ship than we did doing shows on the ship, because the pandemic affected us longer than it did being in service.
Right.
When I was on the ship.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, Outcast didn't get a show in, right?
No,
Yeah.
they
On our boat.
Did they do the Dream or Legs? I thought they did one. No,
they might have gotten an opening night in, but that's it.
They just got an opening night, and that's all they had, I think.
Of one show, yeah. Which was great for me because I didn't have to do a single rehearsal.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't need a rehearsal anymore, though. You've done it a couple times, right?
Yeah, about as many times as you, mate.
That's
true. I think you might have one more contract than me.
Maybe.
How many contracts do you on, Duke?
On that particular ship, I think I did 4 contracts in a row.
Yeah. We couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah.
And
then I basically jumped ship and went to a different one, and then all this happened. So that's my lesson to be learned, to just stick with the same ship and things won't happen.
So it's all your fault.
Yeah, so it's all my fault, basically.
Yeah. The whole world going through all of this. It's all on him. So
you were at sea for almost 100 days, right?
I think it became 96 days, I believe, give or take 1 or 2, before we were able to go home.
And can you just give us I don't know, try to block it as best you can, but a bit of a description of how that whole 96 or so day process went. Like, what could you do? What couldn't you do? How many things changed and how often did they change? That sort of.
I absolutely can tell you that. So it's a little different, I believe, on our ship than it was for most others, only because we were out of the Asian market. So we were the first to go out of service, basically, because the pandemic hit that demographic. So that's why I think we were the longest at sea without, basically guests. So in the beginning, it was about 45 to 50 days where we were doing cruise shows and we were just kind of floating around at sea, not really affected emotionally, targeted where we couldn't go home. That didn't happen yet. We were just kind of floating around deciding what the company's going to do. If we're going to go just back into service, if we're going to go into a different country and just sail out of there and get guests. And then around 50-ish days, that's when it started to affect us personally and go, okay, this is a lot more serious than we assumed. And that's when layoffs started to happen. That's when we started to get emails saying, okay, you're unemployed as of this morning.
Wow.
So it there was not a warning, but we knew it was coming. I mean, you have to know it's coming when you watch the news and it's affecting the world. And then it finally hit us. And it was, I have to say, it was a blessing and a curse. A blessing because we were the first to go out of service. So once we were the first to go out of service, there was no chance of us, or at least a very small percentage of us catching the virus on board because we stopped with guests right away. Mm-hmm. And there was no crew movement. We couldn't get off the ship. We had no crew getting on the ship. There was no sign-off. There was no sign-on. So the risk of someone getting it on board was so minimal. The only chance of it actually happening was when we docked for gas and we had provisions brought on. But even then, they took so much precaution and fogged everything. I mean, they really jumped the gun and made sure that before it was such a critical thing and the cruise ship industry was hitting the news, they were taking it very seriously on our ship, at least. So we knew we were safe. So that aspect of our brains never bothered us. It wasn't, we applied social distancing. We applied the 14-day quarantine. We did all that to follow the regulations of the CDC. But it wasn't, oh my God, we have to be quarantined because someone has it. It was never a fear.
That's good.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
So it was a different situation than most other cruise lines, I'm assuming, or most other cruise ships that had the pandemic, or they had to quarantine because there was a case on board or a few. We did it to follow the regulations so we can get into port, so we can sign off and go home. So it was a different way of thinking.
Right.
Yeah, it must. I can't imagine what it was like on the. I can't really say the name, but the ship that got quite a few cases. I can't remember. Was it in Australia? I think it was. It was, wasn't it?
Oh, the really bad one.
Yeah, the really bad one. I think it was.
Yeah. We were like we were just floating around it.
Oh man.
Yeah, we were near it.
Like, hey, at least we don't have it as bad as that one. We were fine. Yeah, I think. But man, so you had almost 2 months before anybody else really went into that state of emergency sort of thing that we all went into. You'd already been doing it for 2 months. Man,
right.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. And we knew one ship had already kind of transitioned away from Asia and went to Australia and started helping a lot of causes and taking on certain demographics and just kind of giving back to the community to get out of Asia, because they assumed, or whatever was being told to them, it was strictly in Asia. It wasn't a pandemic yet. So if you take the ships out of Asia, there's not a problem. And then once it was global, that's about the 50-day mark for us, at least, where it was like, okay, now we need to figure out where to transition the ship, how we're going to port, how we're going to dock, where we're going to go, how we're going to get these people home. Because that's when the CDC started affecting the flight and the government regulations, and it was a lot.
Yeah.
And you got home about a week ago, is that right?
Did we lose him?
Did you hear me? Duke.
Still there, brother?
Duke, get off Grinder.
And my computer just started.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Sorry,
There you
did
go.
you miss that?
There you go.
Yeah, there you are. He's back.
I'm back, I promise.
Yeah, I just said, you've been home for about a week now, right?
Yeah, just under a week. Yeah.
Are you doing the 14-day self-imposed isolation? Do you guys have that over there in Vegas?
It's not forced, but it is recommended.
Right.
So because I took so many different avenues to get home in so many different countries I had to touch down in, I'm making sure that I'm responsible. So
yeah.
What was your actual flight home from Manila? Yeah.
From Manila, I did a 12-hour flight to Vancouver, a 2-hour layover, an 8-hour flight to Barbados, and then I sat on a bus for about 4 hours. Just a horrific story.
What?
And then from there, I took a plane to San Antonio, touched down in San Antonio, then went to Los Angeles, stayed in Los Angeles, and then I had to take a shuttle, like a private car, back to Vegas.
Wow, dog. That's
From LA.
crazy.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a great time. I stocked up on snacks. It was amazing.
Bro, I would have just settled in like one of those cities. I'd be like, where are we at? Okay, I'm staying here, you know? And just called it a
I
day,
wish.
bro. For real. That's crazy, man.
Yeah. And I had a few hours of sleep,
Oh, no,
but
bro.
you have to be alert when you go into these countries, and you have to go to customs, and you have to explain yourself
Right.
and
Customs.
get me home. And they,
Yes.
it was just,
Yeah.
so by the time I got home, I was actually delirious.
Yeah, like let me just throw that out there too to all of our listeners who haven't had the opportunity yet, you know, to go overseas or just travel overseas. Even if you're, you know, a musician, performer, not a musician, not a performer, you're just traveling, bro. Customs is like the worst, yo. Because like they ask you some of the dumbest questions, man, and it's almost like sometimes it's like trick questions. Like they'll ask you like the same question, but like in a different way, and you'll be like, "Is my name Johnny?"
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It's
Did
crazy,
I say something
man.
wrong?
When is my birthday? Like,
What is my mother's name?
Right? You know, I'm telling you, man.
Am I
like
planning any terrorist activity?
You know, like, do I have $10,000 in cash in my pocket right now? I don't know. You know, like,
Right?
they try to tie you up, man. They try to like catch you slipping because I mean, like, you know, they're doing their job, but you know, in your mind as a traveler, you're just like, yo, I'm just trying to get on this plane, man, and I'm just trying to get back home, or I'm just trying to get to my destination, you know. And especially for us, you know, being on ships, it's even worse when you're just like trying to go back home after all of these months spent, you know, like away from home.
Yeah.
It's such a process, man, just like getting from point A to point B. So, or in your case, point A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Through
you
the
know
whole
what I'm saying?
alphabet.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. I do have a question though, because I heard you say that you guys received an email saying that that you were no longer employed.
Yeah.
And yet you were still on the ship while that was going on.
Yeah.
So they just stopped paying you guys, or?
Yeah. And
What?
I have to look at it in a mature company aspect, and I understand that you have to cut the majority of your overhead.
Right.
And performers are one of them. So we were guaranteed or promised to come back, the first to come back when the ship goes into service.
Okay.
But this is before we couldn't get home. So it was, we know the pandemic hit, we're going to cut our overhead. You guys are part of that.
Right.
We're going to get you home. And then when everything settles down, you'll be the first to come back. And so we were like, oh, okay, this is fine. And it wasn't like it was your last check and that was it. They gave us a little severance package, and
that's cool.
It wasn't as bad as, you know, it is on your last day of work, you're done. So hopefully enough people budgeted correctly and you save, you know, like you should on a cruise ship. But unfortunately some people didn't. And it's a culture shock when you wake up and you have no more income. So,
yeah,
but you know, you have to understand, like, the world is crashing. Everyone's panicking and everyone's just cutting their overhead. So you're a part of that around the world. And everyone's doing it.
And also nobody, pardon me, nobody's had to deal with this sort of thing before. Definitely not on such a large scale, at least in our generation or our lifetime. So I always thought it was pretty understandable the way that I was being treated. I thought I was being treated pretty well, all things considered. Did you think that? Or did you think that the companies could have done more? Or do you think that their hands were pretty tied?
I keep saying this. Our ship was very, very lucky to have a captain and an HR manager that continually gave us the information, whether it was good or bad.
That's what's up.
But just kept us getting the information.
Yeah.
If they heard, you know, the mouse moved, something just so minimal that didn't really affect us, they told us anyway, because they wanted us to be in the loop 100%.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a moment where we sat back in our rooms and thought, we're not being told something. Why is this happening to us? Why are we not knowing?
Mm-hmm.
It was, we were on their side. We were like, we're being told everything. We know it's a struggle.
Right.
Like, we know that literally the government is changing things second by second, and they're in meetings constantly.
Yeah.
Like, we felt bad.
Right.
So we thought, take a deep breath. We're in the safest place in the world right now because we're in the middle of the ocean. This is happening to everyone in the world. And we're floating in the middle of the ocean with no chance of getting this virus.
Mm-hmm.
So count your blessings.
Exactly.
And our ship was very, very lucky. Very lucky that we had a management team that was so transparent with us.
Right. Yeah.
I'm great you said that, because that's exactly how I think Steve and me felt about it.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's very counter to what people would constantly be reading on the internet or on news stations on the TV. I find it very frustrating turning on the TV or looking at my Facebook wall or something. And the second the industry comes up, I go, it's not how it is.
Right.
And I have to constantly explain myself to people all the time. And it's nice to know that I'm not the only one that thinks that. You know?
What do you reckon to one of our ships? Was it last week? Some guys had a bit of a protest, made signs about, how many suicides will it take, and pretty dreadful stuff. And apparently they were getting drunk and they were getting quite aggressive, and all this sort of stuff. I find that absolutely insane, because it's nobody's fault. It's like saying the world is going through this. Why would you burn the bridges with the company? Why would you put yourself in that situation?
Right.
And that's the negativity that we get told. We don't get told the good stories because they don't really sell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it's a double-edged sword, because I feel bad in a way for them, because maybe on their ship they were not getting told anything. Because I'm hearing stories that they would float around and they want to go home, and they pull up into port with a ticket to go home, and all of a sudden they wake up and they're leaving port. They don't know why. They don't know why their flight's canceled, and all of a sudden it's like, why are you not telling us the information? What are we doing? And it's to the point where you get so aggravated and so frustrated that you can't go home, that you rebel and you blame it on the company.
Right.
But the company really is trying to get you home. So it unfortunately trickles down to not the headquarters, but the people that are managing the ships that are on board delivering the information to us. And if they were communicating as upfront as my ship was, I feel like it would have taken a lot of time out of publicity, bad publicity, because they would have understood, okay, they really are trying. Because you can't be mad at someone that's really trying, but every step of the way, the government's stopping you. Or the CDC is saying, no, we've just changed another regulation. Then you start to go, oh, wait, they're really trying, but they're up against the wall every 5 seconds.
Right.
So I understand the aggravation for certain crew members and why they rebel, but it's probably not the right venue or the right outlook, the right avenue to take. But I mean, it was just a tough
frustration
situation. It really was.
Frustration is understandable. Like throwing blame is not in this sort of situation. Look, man, we're just about to run out of time. So on a lighter note, Sir Duke, what do you have really quickly, do you have any upcoming plans? How can people keep in touch with you in this great big wonderful world of social media?
Grinder.
Like, how can they keep in touch with me?
Yeah, what's your social media?
Okay, so
we'll throw it underneath your screen as well. But
if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Laduka, LADUKE_A.
That's a great name.
It says, I know, right? I was branded that on my first contract because of Laduka dance shoes, but I don't even dance. Figure that. And on Facebook, it's Duke Allen, ALLEN. And that's it. That's how you can find me. And on any other websites, please don't look me up, because there's probably some really, really unexplainable things.
Now wait. Now speaking of, well, I'm not going to say speaking of unexplainable things, because you're about to explain it, hopefully. Before we sign off, on a lighter note, how was the festivities on the ship during the pandemic. Like, no guest, just crew members. You know what I'm talking about,
I do.
Yeah.
Are you talking about me in general, or are you talking about the overall atmosphere of the crew members?
You.
I'm about to say a little bit of both, like
Okay.
I know you got down, but what was the general?
Baby?
Yeah.
I was very fortunate to have someone to lean on through this entire experience.
Hardwood. You like hardwood? We discussed that.
Yes, the hardwood floors. A very dear friend of mine was there for me every step of the way. And you need that during, I'm trying not to laugh, but I mean, on a serious note, you need that to lean on somebody for such a tragic experience.
Yeah, you need to lean on something, right?
Yeah, man.
Lean on me, hey. So,
especially in a shower.
Yeah, so I was very fortunate.
Yeah.
The showers were big. But a lot of people, there was so many moments where it was let loose and have a party and enjoy ourselves. It's a safe ship. We're social distancing. But you have to let loose. You have to let loose. And so there were plenty of moments for that to happen. How the outlets were navigated is something for them to disclose. But it was, cruise ship life. You mingle and you get to know each other on a personal level. So
mingle.
Yeah, it wasn't. Mingles. Mingle.com. What up? Shout out.
Mingles.com. Right.
Yeah. Hey, product placement. So yeah, it was. It wasn't that bad. We had it was very good support system on that ship, whether it was in your room, in the shower, or just on deck,
on the balcony. Yeah. Did you take advantage of the balcony at any point?
There was incredible views on the balcony.
Yeah.
There was a lot of beautiful sunset. A lot of,
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm proud of you.
It was a good time.
I didn't get a chance on my balcony. I missed out on my chances.
How?
Because
we were only there for 3 days.
Yeah. Well, no, because I had one anyway. They gave me when this first happened, they moved me from one room into a balcony room for a bit. And I moved to 4 different rooms I had.
You should have heard him complain about his balconies.
Yeah, I heard it.
Oh,
I was like, bro, what?
I started complaining.
He went from one big room to another one with a balcony.
But I want to conclude this, and at least on a personal level to you guys. I feel like we need to somehow get all of us together on the same ship again. It needs to happen. I don't know how you feel about going back on a ship, but one more good one.
Well, we're going back to the same one.
Come back to the old.
Well, we need to, let's tag the office and make sure they know that, we all need to be together again, because it was epic. It was an epic time.
It wouldn't be quite the same without you, Duke.
Who's going to do all the gigs for me?
It's true. Yeah.
Who's going to make me feel loved?
Exactly.
I will love you. Probably not on a balcony, but I will love you.
I will say, actually, when Duke was there, me and Duke created a duo together. And one night we went into the Schooner Bar and did the best performance that you've never seen. I can't remember it, and I had to be helped back to my room. I was that drunk, I can't remember it.
Oh my God.
And Duke had to help back to the room. That was how bad. God. And apparently I was just had the microphone, was stood near the monitor and was just going, because Mosaic, amazing a cappella group, they'd been on. So in my head, I was doing the bass, and apparently I was just going, dum, dum, dum. Dum, 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 over like the song. And then the song would finish. The piano guy, Paul, would be like, that's it, done. And I'd be like, one more song, and just hijack.
Dun.
Oh my God.
I was constantly hijacking everything.
But surprisingly, it was in the same key. I mean, you didn't know your own name, but you still did the bass in the right key.
True professional.
I appreciate you saying that. I'm not strictly true.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, you could have been auto-tuned. I was wasted, but still, it was in the right key.
That's great. What a high note. What a high note to finish on there.
Yes, sir.
So I think we're just about to run out of time. So once again, I'll take us off this time. This has been the Bones, Twigs and Wigs podcast. We'd like to thank Duke for coming and having a little chat with us. It's great to catch up with you, buddy.
Cheers.
Like if you everyone look below all our faces for all our various social medias and contact details and whatnot. Keep subscribing, listening, enjoying, liking, all that good stuff. and we'll see you another time.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Peace.
You guys take care.
All
Stay
right.
safe.
You too, bro. Love you, man.
All right.
Love you
Yeah,
guys
well done,
too.
Duke. Good stuff.
All
See ya.
All right. Bye.